have the pleasure to talk to you guys today. Thank you so much for that. And let's just start with how everything began for you two. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you started casting together, and then we unfortunately had all the Corona time when nobody was like even expecting any LAN, and then boom, we saw you at Stockholm Major finally together. How was that first experience? Let's start there a bit.
It was a great event. I think it was really awesome to actually meet Mike. We didn't expect to go to Stockholm because they announced their first wave of talent and then they needed more for group stage. So we came later. We didn't even expect to go there. Yeah. So it's a big surprise. The funny thing is, even going there was a bit dramatic because I came like 2 days late. I had to wait for my visa to kind of turn around. It took a little bit longer. So Mike ended up passing like the first day without me. He went to rehearsals without me. I came in right before we were casting the second day.
Yeah, I was casting with Fly, I think, for the first day or two. And then waiting for I was so upset because I was like, oh, we're finally getting to meet after 5 years and this idiot's late as usual. He's running on Filipino time. So yeah, we met for the first time. I remember I was outside. I was looking at my phone and then I got a message saying he was on the way. And then a bus pulls up. And then I see his face, and then, we romantically ran towards each other as you do after 5 years. And I remember the first thought I had was, man, John's so short. I thought he'd be a little bit taller than this, but he was a little bit short, Then, we hugged, we talked. It felt normal. After 5 years of talking with each other and casting with each other, I thought it would be weird meeting each other for the first time, but it felt like we've already met. So it felt very normal.
When people talk about a duo of casters or having chemistry, you can see it at your when we are watching you two. It's like so natural, everything. So I guess the chemistry built in 5 years helped that meeting to be so smooth. All right, so you're in Stockholm. You're doing Stockholm Major. Did you guys think back then that it might be a slight chance that you'll be casting the TI on the stage?
That's a funny one because that's where they announced Singapore. And a few of the people, obviously production already knew, a few key people knew in advance that they were going to hold it in Singapore. So they're like, hey, you guys are going to go there. It's like, hey, you guys are a shoe-in. And it's like, I don't think so. It's like we just got our first major, our first LAN in 5 years. Like it's a pretty long shot to get like TI off of one major. So it's like, it's maybe good. But I wouldn't really bet on it. I'm a bit more of a pessimist among us.
He was really negative about it. I asked him what % chance are we going to get invited to TI, and he said 5%.
Yeah.
Oh, John, 5%, it's in Singapore.
This is better than what Gabe shows in some games. We've seen 0% comebacks.
Oh yeah.
That's true. And yeah, I was more positive. I thought, surely it's a Singapore TI, we're the SCA casters. Surely they're not going to leave us out this time. And luckily we weren't left out. We finally got to go to TI, so that was very exciting.
May I ask you what you were exactly doing when you got that email?
Oh yeah. For me it was funny because I got it right before I was going to bed. I was washing like dishes before sleeping. Email came in, checked my phone, and I didn't believe it. Like I didn't know if it was real. I sat down on the floor. I just left the dishes there and sat there for like 5 minutes. I was like, is this real? Because I couldn't believe it. It's like every year me and Mike just kind of discuss, hey, do you think we'll go to a major? Do you think we'll go to TI? And every year my chances went down. I shrink that percent every year. It used to be like 20%, and then last time 5%. I messaged Mike, he was asleep because time zone difference, like 2 a.m. for me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool email. I'm not going to reply to it yet. I'll sleep and I'll wait for Mike's reply. But I just sat there for a good 5 minutes.
And
so you were sleeping when the email received?
I was sleeping, and the craziest part was when I woke up, my phone reception was down. So I didn't get his message, right? So that was the craziest part. I remember I got up and I had some coffee. I was just chilling another day. I went into my office. I turned on my PC. I think I was gonna send an invoice for something we did. And there I saw the email from, I think it was Bruno, right?
Yeah.
Bruno sent us an email saying, invited to TI. And I remember, like, time stopped for a moment, like, literally everything stopped. I remember my heart was just beating out of my chest at the time. And I was like, what do I do? I'm meant to be celebrating. I'm so happy, but I was just frozen, And I remember I specifically waited till nighttime. I remember I took my wife out to dinner because I didn't tell her, I was like, surprise her. So we went out to Korean barbecue and that's how I told her. But I couldn't believe I was literally frozen for like 30 minutes straight. I was just sitting there frozen. It was insane.
Back then when the players would get the invite and not qualify for it, you gotta think what was on their mind and their hearts when they would receive that, just super crazy. But now you're here and you make it to the playoffs, and you have the BO1s games, which are already heartbreaking and a bit hard to deal with, regardless the result. And then your first one was Fnatic, right? Fnatic Gaming Gladiators. Yeah. And then just a chill one, with a team from the hotel you'd think would be a quick one because of the situation, and then you run into a 100 plus minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Your second TI cast, it's a 100-second minutes. How much water did you have during that cast?
I don't even remember drinking water. Like, Mike carried a bottle, I didn't have any. I was just there without water.
So I had one bottle of water, right? And that bottle of water finished in like 45 minutes. And then I was like, oh, this game's gonna end soon anyway, it's not a big deal. And then 107 minutes, it goes, and I remember at the desk, while him and you were talking, and I was looking around for water. I was literally looking at the floor like, is there any water going on? I was dying during that game. It was, it's just our luck as well, because we're known for the stupidly long casts in SCA.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I remember we had 2-hour pauses at one stage,
yeah.
where we had to talk the whole 2 hours and keep everyone entertained. So it was almost like it was destiny for us to come in, and our second game had to be the longest game of TI in TI history.
Of course, you have to stay clear and not get emotionally involved in what happens on the stage with those games. But after 107 minutes, I think it was, what did you do to wind down, to say, okay, the day is over, let's chill? How do you chill about after that?
What did we even do after? Like, it's just a blur.
I think we had some dinner at the restaurant in the hotel. Yeah. I didn't sleep that night. I did not sleep. I remember I was just looking at the VOD, and I was looking at all the moments and what people were saying, and going to Reddit, seeing what the feedback was. I couldn't sleep, like not one bit.
Yeah, it was a wild game. I think I felt pretty good about it, so I was much more relaxed than Mike. And it's like, all right, it's 107 minutes. I don't know what happened. I'll just sleep. I was the opposite. I just fell off. I was like, all right.
Just one quick question about the game. I'm pretty sure you remember a lot of it, but we at home, when we were watching, we keep wondering ourselves, when is RNG gonna use the pit lord teleport to go to their base? I mean, it was at some point it was minute 90 when they did it first time, but I personally was wondering from minute 60. I was like, okay, it's time. When did they go? Do you guys had that in your mind while casting? Like, what's going on? Why are they not trying at all?
For sure, I was like, I really wanted them to do that. The first time they did it was good, and it did force a lot of buybacks. It caught Entity by surprise. Second time was a bit rushed, but I was looking for it, like maybe by even 40 minutes. It felt like they didn't use that as offensively, even throughout the game for like ganks and stuff. So I was just waiting. It's one of those things with Underlord. Not a lot of teams really use Fiend's Gate all that offensively. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot. I was so focused in, I just completely forgot that they could even do that.
I'll tell you, during that game, I actually looked back at the patch because I was like, I had in my mind two options. They either forgot about this option or about the Fiend's Lord, or it's changed in the patch and I'm so obviously not aware of it. I was like, what? Why? Okay, I hope to see you to the next TI and the next TI and the next TI and at the next majors as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Any shoutouts or anything that you want to maybe add at the end?
Shout out to the fans, like everyone that just supported us from back when we were just casting on Mike's channel. Back when we were DMCA'd for our community cast. Ever since then, I mean, we've had a lot of people just constantly cheer on and tell us to, keep going at it. And all that support really led to this, right? Like, I don't think we'd be here without that community feedback, without all the things you tell us to improve on, or, your cheers for us, your support for us. And I think that's just really important and to help us.
Yeah, I agree with John. Shout out to the fans. Shout out to people like you who take the time to interview us. That obviously helps us get to these places. And yeah, it means a hell of a lot to us for the support. So thanks everyone so much.